Little boy got more heart than you'll ever have.
Yeah, well, you can't prove it by me.
Hey, listen. We got a lot of bad blood between us. This is not the time or the place to handle it. No. Let's settle it now. Hey, man, you don't hear right, do you?
He here. You not listening, that's what it is. I let it day, it didn't happen, I let it day, it happen now.
I mean, why don't you stop selling the tickets and forget about it, huh? Listen, man, I'm not going to waste any more of my time with you.
Time.
You want to deal with the Lord, you deal with us later. You understand?
Later. Why should I do something later when I can do it now?
Because I told you to.
Because you told me to. Who you to tell
Listen,
me
man,
what
I
to
would
do?
get it on with you.
Okay, so today we are diving deep into something that's been blowing up on social media lately. It looks like just another hip-hop argument on the surface, right?
Right.
But when you dig in, it's actually, it's a fascinating look at two totally different ways to build an empire. We're talking 50 Cent and Jay-Z.
Exactly. And look, this isn't the same old tired debate about who's got more money or, sold more albums.
Yeah.
I think the conversation's moved past that.
Yeah, hopefully.
We're looking at the actual blueprints, the strategies these two used, based on what people who've been in those circles are saying.
Mm-hmm.
We've got insights from guys like Tony Yayo, Uncle Murda, even Jim Jones weighed in.
Right. So our goal here isn't just to rehash the drama or even pick who's realer. It's about understanding let's say, the strategic fallout. What happens long term when you build your whole operation on intense personal loyalty versus really strict corporate control?
Mm-hmm.
And it all kind of boils down to this one quote. You probably saw it everywhere. Jay got business partners, but 50 got brothers.
That line just cut through everything, didn't it? And it wasn't just trash talk. It really defines these two models for, managing talent, taking risks, and how you scale a business in this industry. So we should probably unpack how this whole thing even started.
Yeah, let's set the scene. It basically kicked off with Tony Yayo, 50's guy forever, right? He did an interview.
Right.
And he just laid it out there. He said, basically, 50 Cent takes better care of his original crew, his day ones, than Jay-Z does. And he specifically brought up Memphis Bleek.
Yeah, Bleek being one of Jay's earliest artists, Yayo was suggesting Bleek maybe wasn't integrated into the whole billion-dollar Rock Nation machine, as well as, say, the G-Unit guys were into 50's ventures.
So Yayo's point was that 50 keeps his people eating, as they say, which in business talk means what? Diversifying income, keeping them relevant.
Exactly. It's about making sure they have income streams beyond just music. Tours, maybe TV cameos like 50 gets them, brand deals, staying visible. It's about building sustainable careers, not just giving them a check back in the day.
Yeah.
Generational stability, maybe.
Okay, but then the internet do what the internet does. Jim Jones jumps in, and he completely sidesteps Yayo's actual point about the business models. Instead, he just attacks Yayo personally, calls him broke, says he's still riding 50's coattails, basically saying, you're not rich enough to critique Jay-Z. Classic deflection.
Totally. Just change the subject. And that seems to be what brought Uncle Murda into it.
Right. Murda's perspective is key here, isn't it?
It really is, because he's actually been in both camps. He had a stint with Rockefeller, Jay's original label, before he signed with 50's G-Unit.
So when he defends Yayo and 50, it carries a bit more weight. It's not just loyalty, it's experience.
Precisely. And it was during that defense that he dropped that line. Jay got business partners, but 50 got brothers. He was framing it explicitly. 50's way is like a family high trust. Jay's way is like a corporation high control.
And the fact that Murda chose to leave rock for G-Unit, well, that speaks volumes. He lived the difference.
Yeah, you have to assume he preferred the G-Unit environment for whatever reason.
Okay, so let's dig into that 50 Cent model first. The brotherhood, or maybe the venture model, you could call it. The sources keep coming back to one word: loyalty.
Loyalty first, absolutely. The descriptions suggest he doesn't see his core team as, disposable assets. They're treated like family.
And there's a reason for that loyalty, right? It goes back to the beginning.
Yeah, Yayo and Murda both emphasize this. 50 remembers who was there before the money. When he was grinding, when things were tough, that shared struggle, that history, it creates a bond that's, much stronger than just a contract on paper. It requires a lot of trust, though, and frankly, a lot of financial support from 50 himself.
Right. Let's talk about that. Keeping the crew eating sounds good, but what does it actually cost? What does it look like financially?
Well, it looks like investment. The sources suggest 50 wasn't just, sprinkling cash around. He was actively involved in their financial well-being. Yayo specifically credited 50 and Eminem with teaching him how to manage money, save, invest, not just blow it all.
Okay, so that's mentorship. That's about building independent wealth, not just keeping people dependent on him.
Exactly. It's a different philosophy. And there are solid examples. Uncle Murda said point blank he bought his first house after signing with G-Unit. That's a huge milestone.
Yeah, that's tangible.
And there are other stories, too, like 50, helping young buck with tax problems, helping Prodigy buy a house. Apparently sometimes giving them money up front, letting them pay it back. Sort of like an internal friendly bank or venture fund.
It was business and we was friends. I think that was the quote someone used.
Yeah, that captures it. It's a blend. Now look, this approach. It's expensive for 50. It carries personal risk. If someone messes up, it reflects directly on him, maybe even costs him personally. But the payoff, intense loyalty.
And you see that, right? The sources say when G-Unit gets together now, it feels real, like actual friends reuniting.
It seems that way. That authenticity, that bond, it becomes a strategic asset in itself. It strengthens the whole G-Unit brand, makes it feel more stable, more real.
But here's the question, the pushback. Can that model really scale up? 50 Cent has a relatively tight circle, you know. Can you run a massive, global, multi-billion-dollar empire like Jay-Z's across music, sports, tech, everything? Can you run that while taking on the personal risk and financial load of treating hundreds, maybe thousands of associates like family?
And that is the perfect segue, because Jay-Z's model, let's call it the agency or corporate model, seems specifically designed to solve that problem. The problem of scale and insulating the core business from individual risk.
Correct.
The way people describe Jay-Z's operation, it's like a CEO running a major corporation. It's less like a rap crew, more like, Rock Nation Inc. Everything is transactional, strategic, professional, calculated.
So the loyalty isn't really to Jay-Z the person anymore, it's to the Rock Nation brand.
I think that's a fair assessment based on these accounts. In control. In that kind of setup, people are assets. They're brought in for their specific function, their utility, the bigger picture, the corporation's goals.
And the consequence, according to some who've left that circle, is that relationships can end pretty quickly when they're no longer strategically useful. Or maybe if they become too costly.
That's the recurring theme, yeah. It's the difference between, say, a high-trust environment where mistakes might be forgiven or worked through, and a high-control one where underperformance or misalignment leads to being cut. That infamous Rock Nation brunch invitation. Apparently, it can vanish pretty fast if you fall out of favor or your strategic value diminishes.
And the examples cited aren't just random people, are they? We're talking about some heavy hitters who were crucial to his early success.
Absolutely. People instrumental in building Rockefeller and his early image. Dame Dash, obviously. Kanye West, who he had a very public falling out with. Beanie Siegel. By moving past partnerships that maybe had conflict or weren't fully controllable, Jay-Z centralized power, which, from a purely business perspective, is often necessary for efficiency and maximizing profit when you're running a huge, diverse company like Rock Nation.
But the sources also highlight the human cost, especially when it comes to people who weren't just business partners, but seemed like genuine, longtime friends, like his mentor, Jazzo.
Yeah, Jazzo and DeHaven. DeHaven was reportedly one of his oldest friends, like from the Marcy Project's days.
And DeHaven's story was particularly rough, wasn't it?
It was. He went public with a lot of pain, said Jay turned his back, smeared his name, even allegedly labeled him a snitch, which is the ultimate betrayal in their world. DeHaven summed it up in a way that sounds chillingly corporate. He felt he was just useful until I wasn't.
Wow, just useful until I wasn't. That really captures the cold logic that maybe is required to build an empire at that scale. It makes you ask, why does the internet, or at least this conversation, frame that strategic business behavior, cutting losses, consolidating power? Why is that seen as fake or not real? Because Jay-Z gets called strategic, brilliant, calculated, but you rarely hear loyal in that personal 50 Cent sense.
I think it's because the idea of realness in hip-hop culture, maybe in entertainment generally, is so tied to personal connection, to history, to devotion, not just contracts. Jay-Z is playing chess, looking at the whole board, the long game. And sometimes in chess you sacrifice pieces, even important ones, maybe even old friends if the accounts are true, to protect the king, which in this case is the Rock Nation brand and its continued growth.
Right.
And that might be why, as some sources suggest, the vibe at a Rock Nation event can feel more like a high-stakes networking opportunity. People checking their watches, thinking about their next move, their own position within that structure. It's professional.
Okay, so boiling it down. We're looking at two distinct, maybe even opposing paths to building power and success. Both seem to work, but they're fundamentally different.
Yeah, you got Jay-Z, power through corporate structure, tight control, exclusivity, brand positioning. It's efficient, It's scalable. It's built for massive growth. Then you have 50-cent power through personal connection, deep loyalty, shared history, presence. It feels more authentic maybe, but it's high maintenance, high cost, and perhaps harder to scale infinitely.
And this whole debate really struck a nerve, didn't it? Because it kind of forces anyone who runs anything, a business, a team, whatever, to confront that choice. What kind of risk do you prefer? The efficiency and detachment of the corporate model, or the messy, expensive, but maybe deeply rewarding loyalty of the brotherhood model?
Both are valid strategies for building an empire, absolutely. But you see why 50's model connects so strongly with people, right? It taps into something human. In an industry, and maybe a world that often feels very transactional and competitive, that idea of shared success, of bringing your people with you, this feels more genuine to a lot of folks. Jay-Z's model is undeniably successful, maybe even more successful by pure financial metrics, but it feels colder, more detached.
So yeah, this deep dive, it wasn't really about the music in the end, or even just the money. It was about structure, strategy, how you manage people and relationships.
Yeah.
It's that fundamental split. Do you build through corporate positioning or through genuine connection? And what are the long-term results of each?
Exactly. Which leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty provocative question to chew on, I think. If reaching the absolute peak, building that billion-dollar empire, requires you to systematically cut ties, maybe even with people who helped you get started, if it demands an empire built purely on deals and calculation, is that legacy, however massive, worth the potential cost in lost loyalty and broken relationships? It makes you really think about what defines a true legacy. Is it just the assets you pile up? Or is it also about the people you manage to bring along with you to the summit?